and welcome everyone to the Midland Main Line, Leicester to Derby and Nottingham preview stream. Good evening. I know you're all excited in the chat. We have some amazing content ready to show you tonight, and we are joined by none other than Tom Foster from Skyhook themselves. Give us a wave, Tom.
Hello.
And we also have the lovely Matt Pedleston, who will be our silent but lovely driver in the background. Woohoo! Hi Tom, hi Alex, hello everyone in the chat. So yes, we have Midland Main Line to show you. We have some fantastic services, but it is also available to pre-order from today, and it releases on the 18th of April. So you can get it on Steam with a 10% discount, but yes, make sure that you are checking our roadmap and our Midland Main Line article if you want all the information. But hang around, because we're going to show you it all anyway. But yes, Tom, you've been on our previews before, but do you want to tell everyone that's maybe not been here before, maybe new to watching our streams, a bit about who you are, what you do at Skyhook, and why you're here tonight?
I have been with Skyhook for the last 2 years. I have worked on minorly 3 routes with you guys: Cane Creek, Horseshoe, and now Midland Main Line, which I'm here to show tonight. I'm glad I'm not driving tonight. Thank you very much for that, Matt. Appreciate that. I am a technical designer here at Skyhook, and as far as I can tell, I do 3 or 4 different jobs. I've been doing timetabling, signaling. I tried my hand at track laying. That is hard. Yeah. But I do a bit of everything here. Anything technical side that isn't anything that isn't the art stuff, because I leave that to actual artists who are good at their jobs, because I'm not good at art.
But you're good at a lot else. And do you want to give us a little bit of the rundown of what we can expect to see tonight, Tom?
Sure. We've got an all-new locomotive in the form of the 158, which is a DMU, I believe is the right term. We also have the Class 43, which you guys have seen before in Great Western Express, but we have refreshed it. New paint, new models, new interiors. Our artists have poured love and care onto that. And also we have the wonderful stations and route of Midland Main Line between Leicester, Derby and Nottingham.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tri-point route, and we're going to be giving you 3 separate services today to help show you pretty much as we can of the entire route that's on offer, and that is available to pre-order from today. So why don't we just get into the service list, and we'll take a look at what's there, and we'll get right into some content. Because I think we just want to show it off.
So do you want to talk us through it? So Tom, how should we follow through here?
Sure thing. Let's start with the weird stuff you might see on the screen in front of you. We've got Class 37 services, courtesy of Rail Operations Group. I think it's the New Journeys pack. There's a bunch of services, 4 of them there, which you can drive between Derby and Leicester, dragging various different pieces of rolling stock.
So it's worth noting that it's not just the ROG pack. This service, for example, uses the Gatwick Express 387, and this one is the Southern 377. So these middle 2 here will be present if you've also got London Brighton.
Thank you for that clarification, Matt. Yeah, it's excellent clarification. We've got a Class 45 rail tour, which my CTO Jane insisted I include, and he wouldn't leave me alone until I added it, so I did. And then finally, on that middle road, you've got the Class 66 EWS, which runs a couple of, I think it's mainly railhead treatment train services in there. But there is also a rail tour which runs East Midlands Parkway down to, yes. Good. I should know this because I wrote the timetable for this DLC. And finally, the one other outlier that looks a bit unusual there is the LMS Jubilee Black Festive. There is a steam locomotive on the route. It's a rail tour. It goes between the 3 major stations.
Yeah, and one thing we want to caveat the service list with is you may notice there are a couple missing services. There won't be any freight services, and there is 1 less ROG service as well. We noticed a crash relating to these services, and due to how close we are to the launch window, we decided to temporarily cut them from the route. Now, we think we know what the issue is, and there's very likely a post-release update, and our aspiration is to get these re-included. So assume what you have tonight is what will launch, and we will let you know on any news on these when we get to it. But there is so much more in this route showcase that we have to show you tonight, so don't think you're missing out on a lot, because there is a fantastic amount of content that we can't wait to get into.
Yeah, so we've got our hero locos, and that is very handily heading to our first service with the 158. I know, showing us through the 158 first, I think. There's quite a lot there. As you'll notice, there are 5 marked services as well. You will be doing the empty coaching stock moves to and from the stations where appropriate. We have 2 different variants of the HST, as Matt was showing again. We have the 8+2 variant and the 6+2 variant. The 6+2 variant is standing in for the Grand Central stock that EMT acquired in the mid-2010s. We didn't model the version with buffers due to time constraints, but personally, I felt it was really important to represent those services correctly with the correct formation style and the correct numbering for the power cars.
Fantastic. Are we ready to jump into the first service tonight? We're going to be starting at Derby to Nottingham on the 158. Say we get it started.
I'm trying to find
Sounds
it.
good to me.
2 Kilo 35. There it is. We have a document with all this written down, and I can't find things in the document because I'm blind. Let me go ahead and put this in custom weather. Put it in July so we can actually see and enjoy the route without it suddenly turning foggy halfway through. It's very atmospheric, but not very good for seeing.
We get a lot of fog up here, Matt.
Well, you're north of the M25, so you're in the north as far as I'm concerned. Right, let's have a pan round the 158 cab here.
Got to make sure the blind works.
This is important stuff. Let's get them train operational. Put AWS on. Get the doors
We'll let
open.
the passengers get on.
There we go. Let's have a quick zoom in here. So we've got headlights, you've got proofing, brakes, wipers, horn. Throttle, AWS. Got compressor speed up. You've got what's we've got here? Destination indicator isolation. Crew light, which is these ones here. Tab light, which is the one above us. So obviously it's daytime, so they're not really having much effect. Instrument lights, you've got your fault light damper. This is your sander, DRA. All the usual setups there. This is where you turn on your safety systems by hand if you want to do that, and then your vigilance is just up here.
Matt, we've got a couple of people asking if the sound could be turned up a little bit. Is there any chance we can get that maybe up another 10-15%?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it all the way to maximum. We'll see whether that's any better. Did I save that properly? I did. What I can do is... my mouse is trapped. Turn that up there. Hopefully that's better. What we'll do actually is we will pop the vigilance off and we will just have a quick wander around the train while we're waiting. We have 30 seconds and I intend to be late on this service, so...
Maybe you'd like to show off one of my favourite features of this train as built, as you leave. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Matt, I'm talking about
you're going to have to give me at least a bit of a clue. The what, sorry?
The guard controls near the cab.
Guard controls near the cab, alright. There's the rear car. Let's wander back.
So if you if you look nearest the door that's open, Does that close them on the other side as well? I think you may need to use the other guard panel. Turn around.
What other guard panel?
It's on the side with the open doors.
Oh, here we go.
Place.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yep. Welcome. Door is open. Yep, that's fine. That should have closed when you hit close. Try it again. Door keys on.
It might be because I opened them from the inside. It's keyed in the cab or something.
Oh no. I hope that's not the case, because we made sure that it was working from both sides. But give it a go. See if the hotkey does the job.
Doors are closed.
It does.
Right, let's get going. Right, we go outside, and we'll do another. We'll do the next station from the inside. Let's do this one from the outside.
Apparently, Matt, you were pressing the buzzer, not the door close button.
That would explain why it wasn't working.
Of course, all this only happens live. In our test runs, this never happens. But always when you put a camera on us, we hit the buzzer.
We'll try it at the next station then.
So, actually, Matt, if you could you showcase the map?
Yes.
And bring up the 2D map really quickly.
This is Derby. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, that's Chaddesden sidings at the top.
Is a mess.
We've got Etches and the RTC, both sides of the main line, and then Lit Church Lane Works down the bottom. Notably, Lit Church Lane Works and Chaddesden are not clear accessible in this area. RTC and Etches, you should be able to walk all around.
Yes, yeah. So there is something we need to mention here, is that on our route map graphic and on the 2D map, the Taunton Depot and Siding, the Lit Church Lane Works, and the Ratcliffe Power Station, they are all inaccessible areas to the player, but there was a reason why these were actually included, and this was part of future-proofing the route. And so what do we really mean when we say that? Well, Tom, do you want to talk a little bit more about the potential future expansion with no current plans? It's worth always caveating that. But do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'd love to. So D2G have done a couple of route extensions in the past where they've added new track. Now they, in conversation with us when we were planning this route, said that that is not a good idea. It's a big pain. So if you want track, lay track. So I spoke with our track layers and I made sure that we had track laid for Tottenham Yard, track laid for Ratcliffe, track laid for Lit Church Lane Works. Because while it's easy to tweak artwork and things around track, it's very hard to tweak track that you've produced a route. So we have laid that track in preparation for future operations. We've not got any plans at present, but we wanted the options to be there, whether that be us, whether that be D2G, whether that be another partner. We just want to better the options. The ability to use this route for more than just the core that's been laid today.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that like the core Midland Main Line route, the tri-point route that we got from Derby to Leicester and Nottingham as well. What you have there is a fantastic route with loads of services and a lot of gameplay. So this wasn't added as like we can do more. We've already done a lot. It's just there is a future potential there that we can explore. But again, it's always worth caveating this with there are no current plans. So we'll let you know if those do come up in the future. But we've given ourselves the doorway to go through. Yes, that explains that. And actually, I wanted to talk to you, Tom, because you made sure that I reminded you of a very interesting speed change from 10 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour that's coming up on this little section of our journey, I believe.
I think we've still got a little while before that because we have to stop at Long Eaton. But
Okay.
Long Eaton, the Trent Triangle, I believe it's referred to sometimes, Trent Junctions and south and across from Derby to Nottingham. When you're travelling down the main line from Long Eaton towards Parkway, it's 70 miles an hour. When you're travelling across from from East Midlands Parkway to Attenborough, it's largely 70 and 40 miles an hour. When you're travelling from Long Eaton Cross to Attenborough, you have a 10-mile-an-hour turnout just there. I wish I'd remembered which signal comes before it, because the approach control are not particularly fun to lay down, and certainly confused not only myself, not only our wonderful group of beta testers, but also QA at DTG. So they were informed that no, that is really how it is. You just slow right down to 10 miles an hour to take a turn from the main line across towards Attenborough. It's quite the slope.
Which is, that's quite unique. Is there really any other places that have that kind of like shift in speed?
I don't know of any other on our route that have that level of drop. I think it's the slowest speed limit we have on route outside the depots, but actually there's set up the depots and they're all 50 miles. So I charge around those at great speed and still get the score nice and low, nice and high. But no, I don't know of anywhere that's that significant drop. There are a couple of turnouts on the HST port, the high-speed portion between East Midlands Parkway and Leicester, that drop down from, I think, 100 down to 40, which is a similar sort of scale of drop, but quite the slow speed of 10 miles an hour that we have this time.
Yeah, I suppose it's the difference between slowing down like marginally to slowing down almost to a stop. I've got another thing that you wanted me to prompt, and it is you wanted to highlight the engine spools. They have quite the spooling up signature noise that comes with that.
Yeah, so when that stops, when that stops at the next station, I'm sure you'll hear it as he kicks the throttle and goes away. Will our Cinegraph expert, who we brought in, he did an incredible job, and he spoke with 158 drivers who drive the train, and he did an incredible job on the Cinegraph to make sure that when you... That was my webcam falling over, sorry. He did an incredible job to make sure that the train sounds, reacts, to pull away as closely to real life as possible. And I have to say, it's really like being just the noise it sort of makes as you spool it up and start pulling away. Because the 158 has a rather unique transmission. It's half like a normal transmission system and half a hydrodynamic transmission. So I read this about 10 months ago and I've forgotten most of it since. But luckily I didn't need to know most of it because William and our engineers here have handled most of the locomotive details. It fills with fluid, and the fluid is what carries the power. I think that's how it works. And so there is a number of like interesting step changes, particularly around 56, 57 miles an hour. So when you go over that, you'll hear the engine tone completely change because you transition from direct driving to driving through the hydro transmissions. It's quite different, actually.
That sounds incredible. I think someone that Phil W893 has put hydrokinetic in the chat. Is that what you're referring to there?
That sounds about right, yes.
The step one brake on this has this interesting thing where if you go from 0 to 1, you get a light application of step 1. If you go from 2 or 3 back to 1, you get a hard application of brake 1. So it's got variable brake rating on step 1.
Yes. Yeah, that's true to life as well, because it's due to the way that the valves shut off and turn on inside the braking system. If you come down from a higher thing, the valve stays one direction and it causes that harder application. Whereas when you're just stepping up, you're only setting the first valve, and therefore it sets it very lightly.
For those of you in the chat that thought Matt was going to overshoot the station, I believe he couldn't have got that more perfect. So there's the faith in Matt restored. But as a reminder, we were going to hopefully try and show the guard panels again.
Turn off vigilance. Or DSD in this instance. This one, isn't it? There we go. That's signal. I was pressing door. Oh, hello. Make a note of that one, Tom.
I think they've been labelled the wrong way round.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
I was pressing it
the
because it said
labels are the
closed
wrong
down
way
here.
round.
That would explain it.
Doesn't seem to be doing anything though, Tom.
Have you put the door key in?
Oh no, that'll be it.
See, I sound very smart, but I'm really just reading the chat, so I feel empowered. But it's just the chat, and there we have it.
On the wrong side of the train, though. Come on.
And do note that if the doors are open on this, the traction interlock will not let you move. There we go.
Jason, Alex to drive next. If you've seen my recent streams of me driving, you know I overshoot most stations. I think the last one I overshot was by 1.8 miles.
So Matt, this is where that signal comes on, and that's why your next signal is red. This is something that this is going really well. This next signal is red. This is because this runs what we call MAR, which is I forget exactly what the term stands for, but I've learned a lot about it. And basically, this signal won't activate. In real life, this signal doesn't activate until a train has been in its circuit for a given amount of time. So it makes the driver slow right down.
Approach release.
Approach release. In the game, it's modelled slightly differently, but the principle is the same. It forces you to go really, really, really slowly towards it, and then it will release up to whatever aspect it's. There we
Coincidentally timed with the green light coming green.
But yes, do note that even though you are being currently told on the HUD that it's 70 miles an hour in 400 yards, you shouldn't speed up towards that 70 mile an hour limit because you've got that 10 mile an hour turn.
Go look, see, right here, sneaky.
In that map it shows up right. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Red Leader Matt is a proud member of the Run 8 Club. Yeah, there is only 2 throttle settings on any train. Go and stop, I call them.
So we're seeing, I think it's called Stenson Junction over there on the left. No, right. It's the
Remember,
right.
your screen is probably mirrored.
No, it's not. I just can't remember what left and right are.
Tom, we've got an interesting question here that we discussed a little bit before we came on the stream, but we want to tell everyone. So why this route? What is it that made you want to pick the Midland Main Line? What is it about Leicester, Derby and Nottingham?
Let me see. What is it about Leicester, Derby and Nottingham? Well, for a start, I have a wonderful production team over here who work on our sort of ideas board, working out what we're going to do next, what routes, trains, and other jobs we're going to do at Skyhook, because we don't just do that. This is the focus. So one of the things we like to do is see what we want to do. More to the point, we see what the community wants to do. And this whole route started with my producer going onto the Dovetail forums, into the ideas section, and finding some people talking about wanting a Midland Main Line.
I actually found people talking about it on the suggestions page of the forums. Exactly.
There was a thread, yes.
Yeah, and if any of you have actually seen our latest roadmap, we've discussed in depth about how our LAMP process works when it comes to choosing routes. And a big part of that is taking suggestions directly from the community. And that's the route we're showcasing today is only here now because, I mean, like you said, your team saw that suggestion on the forums and were like, this is it. This is the one we want to make.
Spot on. he saw it on the forums and he put it in the dock. And then we scoped it out. We worked out what we wanted to do with it, and it's the one that ultimately got chosen for this development cycle. It did kind of help though that I'm a Derbyshire lad, and this is pretty near my patch. So yeah, I put my hand up and said I'd love to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got the local passion there helping you build it as well. But yeah, that's
my boss let me go and visit all the stations when we were in the early stages of planning the route and everything. And I went and took a load of pictures and sat on some trains and just had a little day out on the trains.
Oh, fantastic. How would you say, like, just curious now, how would that have impacted the way you approached like designing this route and coming up with like the features for this route?
It just gives you a bit more of a connection, I feel. Like, the fact that I'd travelled down all those tracks and they are sort of, like, local to me and I know them pretty well, it gives me a bit more of a connection to what I'm building. It was a bit challenging sometimes on a horseshoe curve where it was American Railroad, something I just don't know about.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And there's just that little bit of disconnection. Whereas this is very personal to me because it's very local. I'm used to these areas. I've been on these trains a lot as I've grown up, so especially before I could drive. So yeah, it's this kind of like I used to watch these and the HSTs pass a local bit of scrubland near my house. Me and my dad used to go and sit on this big soil heap and watch the trains pass.
That's lovely that you can make that nostalgic connection as well. We've got a question actually saying, how accurate is the scenery and station surroundings, Tom, based on what you've seen?
I think the way one of my artists put it is probably the best way to describe it. It's representation, not recognition.
Right, yeah.
As you're on the track, we try and make things look and feel correct. We're not guaranteeing that every building is spot on because we just don't have the dev time to produce that many unique assets.
It's not even just a dev time thing. What you'll find, your average PC won't load it if it's got all that many unique assets as well.
That's a good point, Matt. We haven't got the time nor the resource personally or on your computer. But we've made sure that there are certain unique assets which are accurate. We heavily use Google Maps and route learning videos. Well, not route learning videos. There's a couple of wonderful channels on YouTube that I've literally had my head in, for like the last few months, making sure that the signals are in the right places, that the safety systems are in the right places. I've been bugging artists and telling them that we need lampposts in different bits. And I'm sure I've been driving them mad. The aim is always to make it feel nice, to give the player an experience and make them feel like they're driving. If you ride the train on this route after driving the route, it should seem familiar to you. That's really our aim.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose as well, there's also the element that if my house was, say, visible from the route, I don't know how comfortable I feel with a perfectly modeled version of my house. Driveway and car. And we've got a couple questions in the chat talking about the 222 and other trains that could be on this route. And again, that kind of comes back to the future expansion and the potential there. And Skyhook are investigating what locos and trains that they can actually add next. But at the moment, there's no plans. I mean, what we've got at the moment is already a fantastic route that shows the 158 Sprinter, that shows the HST. But again, that potential has been left intentionally open.
There's a bunch of potential there. Yeah. Sorry, I must admit I lost the last half of that sentence as I was watching Matt dodge around that lady who's doing her absolute best to block him from getting into the cab. I got up out of the cab the other day, opened the door into the train, and there's just a guy standing, staring deep into my soul, and just like, I need to get past. I want to use the guard panel. And then I had to just carry on driving in the cab.
To answer your question, Blocky Banana, yes, we've noticed on the stream that the signal and door close buttons are the switcheroo, We've noted it down, and that should be able to be fixed in an update that will come.
Yeah, that's an easy fix.
Yeah, whether that makes it into launch because the launch is on the 18th, that's unclear. But it should easily make it into the first patch that comes to Midland Main Line. And I think we also had another question about 150 and 158 coupling, and I believe they do not couple.
They don't couple at the moment. I don't know if that's something we can fix, but we will note that down as well. We in no way, shape or form claim that this is perfect, and we happily accept feedback from the community. In fact, I'd like to just thank all the beta testers right now from your forum, because they have been amazing. I have not met a more passionate group who want to get everything really nice, and they are fantastic. I love them to bits. Big thanks to them. It's been an absolute joy to be chatting with them through this process as we got this route ready for this preview stream and your release.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we thank the beta teams enough, because realistically, they're an incredible group of people that just want to help and just help make the game and the routes just as fantastic as they can be. Actually, speaking of that, then Tom, what are the challenges do you think of building this route? You talked a little bit about how you've learned quite a lot as you've gone.
Yeah, so when I was a little kid, I was a bit of a trainer. I used to go to Peak Rail in Matlock with my dad, and we used to visit it. It's another little light railway called Steeple Grange. We used to go there. We used to visit that. Really fun to just like hang out and be on old trains. There's something endearing about old trains, you know? And I thought I was a train nut. And then I got this job 2 years ago, and I realised I was not a train nut. I knew nothing about railways at all. And then I did Horseshoe Curve, and I learned that I knew nothing about US railways. And I had very helpful helpers with that, and subject matter experts who really helped me get everything right there. And then we came over to Midland Main Line, and I was talking to my producer, and I was saying, we're going to get everything right this time. We're going to nail it. This is going to be so easy. We've got this down. No. Passenger routes are really hard. I will say that we have had a lot of challenges learning all the systems around passengers, around stations, around locomotives that deal with that. I will say also the signalling for the UK has been a whole other thing. Like, I thought, I know what railway signal is now. I've done a US route. Nope, different, very different.
Matt, can I ask for a quick horn as well as we depart? Sorry, just a request from the chat.
Oh, they love their horns.
I didn't want to interrupt you there, Tom. Sorry, please continue.
What I was saying. Oh yeah, signalling was a lot of fun. We got about month and a half into the signalling, and then one of your wonderful signalling engineers went, "Who thought about approach control?" And I went, "What's approach control?" And then he taught me about approach control, about flashing aspects, about approach on red, all these sort of like things which to you guys are probably just like, I'm not saying to you guys, to yourself, Alex, because I don't know how much of a trainer you are, but more to the community. They probably know what approach control is, what flashing aspects are about, what these things are. I just knew trains drove on rails, and they had signals, and the signals were red, yellow, and green. Like, I thought it was pretty simple, like traffic lights, but no. Like, I've learned so much about signaling. It's pretty crazy, actually, the kind of safety systems that are built into our railways. They're so cool, like AWS and TPWS, and learning how those work. And like, I've learned about all sorts to do with those, and how you set them apart, and you hit one grid and then you hit another grid, and if the grid's too quickly, the train will just break itself. It's really cool stuff, but I just never knew any of this. Like, the community, it's probably like a lot of them, it's probably the sort of thing that they just do, but like I didn't know any of this, and it's been a real joy to learn about it.
I mean, I can relate in a way, in not to the same extent, but I can relate to the fact that this community is really good at sharing that knowledge, at helping me that I came in knowing very little about trains, and I would say that there's still a lot more for me to learn. But every time I do a stream, every time I do a preview, and every time I hear from yourself, from Lucas, or from Matt, or from even JD as well, I learn more each time. And I think it's just the passion that wonder does grow each time you realize just quite how complex some systems really are. And I mean, even just tonight, hearing about the hydrokinetic and the fluid that filling up, that's just amazing. The engineering that goes into this is truly fantastic.
Yeah, your simulgraph technology is another thing entirely. Like, I will not even pretend to understand it. I was so neck deep in signaling and things that I delegated those jobs to some other people, notably Will Green and our engineers in-house, and they did a great job with them. But it is like, hearing Will talk about simulgraph is another thing entirely, because the way he talks about it is pretty impressive, really. He talks about how if you don't understand the systems in real life, it can be hard to get the results you want out of simulgraph. But if you understand how the systems in real life interact with each other, you can produce something that is really quite accurate and really quite real to life. I must say, it's impressive tech. So well done to your engineers. They've done a really nice job with that.
I must say the engineers must feel rather flattered watching this. So where are we heading now? We're in a go via location to the Sea Line.
Yes, this is Sea Line outside Nottingham. This is where you'd be held if Nottingham was busy and you had to wait for your platform.
I see. We've got British Ace in the chat saying if there's something you don't understand, it's simply just magic. Exactly. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, I believe is a quote I've heard somewhere. And it is real. The magic of the railroad. Fabian Limp, you've asked for the price, and I do believe I have actually skipped over that in our introduction. So yes, the pre-order for Midland Main Line is available today, and its release is on April 18th. It's available for Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, PS5, Epic Game Store, and Steam for £29.99 Great British pounds, $39.99 US dollars, and €35.99 euros. You can find all this information and a little bit more on the route on our roadmap and on our Midland Main Line let's think, Master the East Midlands article. So, yes, good.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, good question.
View at Nottingham.
Nottingham Station.
Yeah, it's really nice. Got a warm welcome at Nottingham when I was out on my research trip. I even spoke to a 158 driver and I asked him about the door controls because I was very confused. I was like, controls for the doors in the cabin? He's like, no, only the guards have them on 158. So, yeah, I even learned things on that trip.
I feel like there's that actual experience you had going to the station and meeting those people and being on that journey. Like, again, you talk about connection. That will just help you really relate when you're designing this route. Relate when you see this route in action as well. That'll pull back on the nostalgia, and I think that's what this does for a lot of people that are local to this route as well. We often hear a lot of our community talking about the nostalgia of going on these trains, going on these journeys to the different stations, and what that can do. And it's really amazing to hear that. Seven yards away. So this is, I believe, our final destination.
That is the final destination, yeah. If Matt would rotate the camera towards the east, as we going to go up nice and high. In the distance, you'll see Eastcroft Depot.
Or a door.
I got kicked out.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, gold medal. Look at that as well, Matt. Professional.
Absolutely.
Even though he went at 20 miles an hour for that 10-mile-an-hour turning, I'll be telling the S&T department about that.
They probably won't mind.
So before we continue right into our next route, we have time for our Midland Main Line route highlight. So I think it's a good time to show that and have a little bit of chat about really the route, the kind of the full route in really condensed amount of time. You know, our usual 10 features in 10 minutes, but you may actually notice we've only got 9 features in 9 minutes for this set. Well, it's because we have something pretty special, something unique that we're actually not going to be revealing tonight, but we will reveal when we upload the 10 and 10 in full on our YouTube channel over the weekend. So we're going to keep that one a little bit of a secret for now. But yes, we're going to show you the highlights of the route in a few minutes, and I'll talk through them with Tom. So if you want to start that up when you're ready, Matt, let's see the highlights of Midland Main Line. So first up, the BR Class 158. But Tom, you wanna kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I learned tons about this loco. They used to actually couple them to 156s due to really bump the brakes and it not activating the track surface well. And as I just said, they've got no indoor cab controls. I thought that was mad. Like, surely the driver should have a way to open the doors, but no, he has to get out and actually, use the guards panel.
The guard does
Well, yeah. Yes, but if there was just a driver, if it was an engineer on his own driving the train around a depot, we'd have to use the door releases and door panels to actually close the doors.
The livery is so striking as well. Yeah,
I miss this livery. I had a similar one in the stage for buses. And 43 as well, which looks gorgeous. Great job on that one.
And this is powered by the VP185 engine, is that correct?
That's correct, yes, VP185.
Just to be clear, that's different from, for those who don't know, GWE really uses the empty version of HST. So this is a normal sound set.
The VP185 is the Lambo. At one point, I got my headphones on, and was going on the mixing, and the audio engineer at ETG went up way too far on the loudness. It's very striking. It did make me feel like I was stood next to the station. We toned it down a little bit, so you wouldn't get.
Matt, we've got a quick mention that
just
possibly the
volume.
audio of the video is a touch loud.
I'm just looking at the volume while you talk.
So yeah, we've got the various different stations. This lovely shot of Derby.
Hope you can hear us a little bit better now. But yes, this is a tri-point route. We have Leicester Station, Nottingham Station, and Derby. And as you can see here, it's a bit of a mix between classic and modern architecture for the stations, which just gives it that extra bit of variety, right?
And there's the Tim's Parkway. And these absolute dominates the skyline as you're driving north and as you drive south and pop out of Red Hill tunnels. East Midland Parkway. They're labelled East Midland Parkway cooling towers. It's the Ratcliffe Power Station cooling towers. They are massive. Looking up at them out of the train as I was travelling around, it was just like these are.
Just look at that power station. That is incredible.
Yeah, they've done a good job on that as well.
And there's another angle of the power station. Now this is really quite a massive environment piece.
It really is. Yeah, we did have a small out of memory error with that. We found we put an 8K normal texture on it, which was swiftly fixed. I must say the shots your team pulled together for this segment are gorgeous. It's really nice, and I have to say, I feel like a lot of that is the new weather system in TSW3. They make a big difference, and the fact that the illumination is much more true to life really gives you a real... It just takes the scale from screen space to sort of more grandiose. Like, this just feels so much more like it's almost like I'm looking through cameras rather than, you know, at simulation at times.
I think that's what I mean. Like for people that love taking screenshots as well, that just makes it that extra touch.
Yeah, so we've got Derby Rail Training Centre. I think it's Rail Training Centre and Etches Park. There's another depot as well, Eastcroft. All the depots in real life, I believe, are fully signalled, but I've made the executive decision to make them manually controlled. They would be controlled, I think, from a local signalling box. So it's sort of like you're just on the radio to your guy and getting him to change the points for you, but you have to do this. And I did make a conscious decision to make that the case because I felt like players love their shunting. And this gives them the opportunity to play about with a couple of the locos without having to run services if they so feel.
Acts a bit more like a playground as well, right?
Exactly. It's a little playground they can have a play around in and see things. And yeah. Class 45 rail tour. Originally, this was meant to be a Class 47 rail tour, but my wonderful CTO Jane insisted that I put a Twin Peaks service. So this is a double Class 45 all rail tour. So if you don't like Class 45s, blame Jane.
Don't blame her directly in the chat.
No, I really appreciate all this help. He's a bit of a train nut. He joined us later on in the day, and he was invaluable. So this is my little homage to him because he asked for it, and it is based on a real world service, but I just built a class.
You made a good choice.
So we've got a Class 66 haul rail tour as well. This is actually pulled by the railhead treatment train. This, unfortunately, is a case of mistaken identity. Chose the wrong one. But you can pull it with the railhead treatment train. You can pull it with any other Class 66 that you have available in your game. I believe substitution fully works with that train. But yeah, it's another good fun one to enjoy. I may swap out that in future so it uses a more generic Class 66 rather than the RHT2. And that's Humberstone side? No, not Humberstone, Mount Sol in the background of that last shot. And yes, you guys have already used it. All credit to your timetabling team. They've already got it into the Southeastern High Speed. Absolute legends.
Got a question from Facundo Posse. Is this route 100% diesel? And yes, I believe the answer is yes, it's not an electrified route.
Sadly, to this day, we still do not have electrification. It's been talked about for 20, 30 years, I think, but we've never got around to it.
Right, we'll send you our Electra Stars later on.
Sorry, Matt?
We'll send you our Electra Stars in a couple of years.
If we can get something else on the route over to Liverpool, I'd be very happy, because visiting the office at the moment is... the 158s are not the most comfortable trains, I must say.
I believe we're back on the screen. But we're pretty much ready to jump into our next service of the night. Let me find out where that was. So this should be a July run out of London St Pancras to Leeds on the HST. The
We will,
BR
of course, be taking it
class
from Leicester.
43.
Doing custom weather so we can have it going foggy on us. What did I say we wanted to do on this one? Should I like cloud again? Keep the good visible. We're going to do 3 services. The third one we will do at night time. And we won't be doing all of it, but we'll do so you get to see some of the route at night time as well. The HST. Now, if you're familiar with spent a lot of time with the HST on Great Western, you'll notice this is different. Not quite the same.
Indeed. And we actually were very, very blessed. And I want to shout out, another shout out. I'm all about the shout outs tonight. A big shout out to Crew Heritage Centre, because they actually gave us access to a EMT Class 43 that they have on site, as well as a couple of Mark IIIs, and allowed our artists to take more in storage space amounts worth of reference than the route will take up on your hard disk.
Oh my. That is
I only
amazing.
have some of it downloaded, and I have over 50 gigs of reference photographs and videos.
That is an incredible fact. They must have taken photos of everything.
They did. Like, every switch, every panel, every bit of rust, everything. Like, we don't have the texture space to get it all into game, of course. But they were exhaustive taking pictures of everything to make sure that they had everything and anything they needed when they were modeling this up in the game.
I've got a question. Is there a guard panel on a 43?
So there is. It's down here.
Yeah,
but you can't access it.
Yeah, it's in there. It's modelled, but you can't open it. We only noticed late on in development that it was modelled. But it's modelled. It's in there. We've got it ready for a future expansion if we get to it at some point. But we did notice it, and we did make sure that the buttons were present, so that it should be an easy add later if we want to do it. But again, no promises on that.
Right, let's. I'm going to turn the volume up at this point so that we can hear sounds. This will drown out people talking. I'll let you know when I've turned the volume back down again. Sound is back down.
We are back.
For latency reasons, I'm just watching you stream it right now. I don't have sound, but I know what it says. Your audio department, thank you. Thank you, DTG Audio. You did a cracking job helping us get that sounding.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in the chat saying the sounds are great, loving the look of it, and they're giving you praise. You gotta stop shouting other people out. Tom, it's praise goes to Skyhook.
It takes a team. I didn't make this game. You know, this isn't my route. This is Skyhook. This is DTG's route as well. You guys were massive help. Like, it takes a team. It really does. And as a team, I'm really proud of this. It's genuinely an experience worth having. So pre-order it.
Pre-order now. I can't believe this hasn't been said by myself either, but the length of the route is 30 miles between Leicester, Derby, and Nottingham stations. So 60 kilometers. I believe that's 12 stations, if I counted correctly on my screen. And it's a diesel line, it's not electrified. So, yeah, all of that stats again, it's available in our Midland Main Line Master of the East Midlands article if you want to check that out and dive right in. It's on the forums on our Dovetail website, or feel free to join in our Discord communities and our social communities for links to them as well.
This was a request I've seen a lot on the forums, and Skyhook have answered you. Please let us open the doors while it's driving, was the request. So big thank you to Skyhook for that, for listening.
I didn't actually realise how slow trains were, man.
Are we not travelling at 90 miles an hour?
It takes a long time to get to 120.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the acceleration?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes as long to get from 100 to 125 as it does to get from 0 to 100.
It's mad. It's crazy. Like, I didn't realise how slowly they accelerate. Yeah, sure, you can do 120, but it takes 8 minutes to get there, I think, or something like that. Or was it 6 minutes? I'm sure somebody in the chat will be telling me exactly what the acceleration rate of the 125 is.
See, that's a good question. Why would the door need to be opened if the train is moving?
Because in reality, I don't think it's. Well, actually, no, I think in reality, I don't think it is locked. But the reason that players want to in the game is because there are no windows to open. So if you want to let a bit of extra glorious sound in the cab, you open the door, and you can get some of that glorious sound in the cab. This is why people want the doors open, so you can have the cab experience, but actually hear the audio without it being muffled.
I do believe in real life, it's been seen that HSTs will pull in and out with the cab doors open now. I don't know why the real life drivers have it open. If there are any real life drivers in the chat and tell us.
We did it on.
Maybe it just got really hot.
We locked the doors on Great Western, but it was our first passenger route back in the day, the second route in the game, because the beta testers kept falling out of the cab. And so did we, frankly, because we were all. This was like the first passenger train. We were doing 100 miles an hour. And we're like, oh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to have a wander around and I'm going to open the doors and I've fallen out. You know, it's like completely player error, but we're just like, okay, this is happening too much. We need to do something. Of course, now we're far enough along. Everybody is, you know what? Just sit down and stop messing about. And now we can open the doors again.
I have to admit, Matt, I have fallen out of the 43 and watched it drive away from me.
No, we've all done it. We've all done it. How many people on West Somerset have fallen out of the 08? Because I think the 08 was one of the first ones you could actually fall out of. And the number of people I saw on videos with watching their 08 disappear off into the distance going, come back!
There's a reason on Horseshoe Curve my favourite consist for testing was I had a 44, then a flat wagon, and then a 44, because you could walk across the flat wagon. So I could get from one of the trains to the other train without actually having to stop.
Yeah, in case you get too warm, pop open the door, hope you don't get sucked out to the vacuum of space, and cool down a little bit. But for anyone joining us now, we are currently on the HST on a lovely July London St Pancras to Leeds
Doing a
service.
I really need to get this camera sped up.
You got to try and race the HST.
Oh no! Oh well, I missed that. So we'll be stopping now for a moment.
My speed seems to be going down.
What happened there, Matt?
DSD.
DSD, yeah.
DVD, sorry, DVD, not DSD.
DVD, yeah. There's two different names, isn't there?
Well, they do different things. Driver safety device is just literally standing up or letting go of the pedal. DVD is the vigilance device, which is the one that will wake you up every 30 seconds or 60 seconds and make sure that you are still not flying around at 130 miles an hour and an external camera flying alongside, with a drone.
Yes. Red Leader, you are correct. This is the emergency brake test part of the live stream. So there you go. We've got the brake test in.
Just got to wait for the timeout now. Brake pipe recharging. You can see the brake pipe coming up here.
I don't think we do the full true to life timeout though, do we, man? The true full to life one, I think, is 2 minutes.
That's for TPWS brake demands, and AWS fails. You should get a 2 minute on those, and this red light comes on for those. But vigilance device is a I think in the same as the 158, the vigilance device is just waiting for the train to stop and then acknowledging the alarm so that and it'll just immediately reset.
See, this is where you're showing off your superior train knowledge, where I wish I'd actually done more work on the locos this time, because yeah, they are. Each one.
What I want to do actually is hear the sound of the train starting up again. This is really the thing.
It was all planned. It's there in my script. If I could only just bring that up on the stream.
Oh, if only.
Let's make sure we highlight the starting sound of the 158 when we get in that next service as well.
Yes, we'll do another sound up moment. I think that went really well.
That lag moment is good.
It's better than letting Alex drive. That's very true in certain areas. I mean, if we emergency braked on one of the Cajon Pass locos, that's I believe some of them could be 10-minute timeouts if it hasn't been turned on. So.
Matt, could you have a look at the back of the Class 43 power car? There is a door there. You've just gone past it. It's in the back. Yeah. It says this door is currently maintained and available. That's what it says in real life. The door is not available in game, just to clear that up, because I know that's been a question a few people have asked. Can we access the guard compartment? Can we access the engine compartment? The answer is no and no. Simply because there's nothing to do in the guards compartment, and the engine compartment, I can only imagine how long that would take to model.
It's really tight. I've been in an HST engine compartment, and it's a squeeze.
It is a squeeze. I've seen a video, and it's tiny. But yeah, there's nothing to do in the guards area anymore. The guards have stopped using it these days anyway, so we did not go that far in access it.
We got another call for the horn. Horn, says my life as Isaac.
Let me just turn the volume up so it'll drown everybody out. Hang on a second. Right, volume's to normal.
My ears. The lighting, you're right, Roar. The lighting with the colours of the livery just truly stunning. You've got the sunset colours hitting the livery, just fantastic.
There's no GSMR on
lighting is just so superior. Was that asking if the GSMR working? Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing the 158 next, Luke.
Yes, yeah, the 158 is coming up again. It will be in a nighttime run, just to showcase the nighttime features of the route. I did have a question though. Is it possible to uncouple the HST from the carriages? The other garages?
I do not believe so.
Well, they haven't.
I would like to mention though, the HST and its carriages are semi-fixed formations, and you will tend to see the same ones. Obviously, because they don't uncouple them unless there are big problems. So when I was designing the timetable, I've actually laid it out so that each train is unique and has a unique formation. And so if you know the diagram for HSTs in EMT back in 2018, which is available on the internet if you look hard enough, I have used that diagram to recreate the service pattern as faithfully as I can with the timetables I had, so that if you follow a train through the day, you can drive the same power cars as if it was travelling around the United Kingdom, rather than just, whichever numbers the game chooses to give you, it will be the correct power cars all the way through the day.
Fantastic. And I believe Loughborough station.
Yes,
Where's the termination point of this station?
This is the Grand Central Bridge that's just been finished. The termination point of this service?
Is it Leeds, is it?
Nottingham.
It's Nottingham.
Nottingham, oh.
We've got enough time for that.
We were going to run these two services full and then partial on the third one.
Yeah, and the time in game is eerily close to the time of real life, which is fun as well.
Well, that's very true. We're essentially there now. Here we are, all in the cab, sat around.
Someone's asking about the brush sign. Unfortunately, due to licensing limitations, the brush sign will not be present.
We did, however, model the buildings to look a lot more like them than generic factory buildings. Because it just wouldn't look right without it.
Supposed to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is there anything more you can tell us, Tom, about the scenarios that are included for the HST 158?
I always missed the scenario last time, so I knew them inside and out. This time, that's been handled by other technical designers. I'd say my favourite scenario is Easy Trip. Easy Trip is definitely my favourite because if you turn the safety systems on, it actually trips out the safety systems and you have to reset them. We talk you through that, and that's a really fun little different scenario. I don't think I've seen that sort of thing done in the DLCs that I've got. I will admit I'm a bit of a train sim world noob. I don't play the game that much outside of developing. But yeah, I was really keen to have something that's a bit different from. I think there's also a fun scenario which involves a nice big pile of snow.
Oh,
yeah, we call it Snow Trouble at All.
I feel like the scenarios and the puns. It's just a hilarious thing to see every time.
It's really hard to think of good puns.
Some of them are really good. Some of them you look at and you just think, oh god.
The localization team would just look at all of the puns and go, what do you want us to do with that? Because the puns don't generally translate.
we designed a scenario for the puns first.
When the vocalization team come back to you and go, why have you written it like this? What does this mean? And you're just like, it's a bad pun. It actually means this. Just almost feel embarrassed explaining it to them.
I know, talking to one of the German localization people, what they generally do is just come up with a different pun that's relevant in German, rather than try and translate something and it just not work. They'll just come up with a different pun for the German names.
So beautiful. The skybox is so much nicer than the one we were working with 2 years ago.
So it's worth pointing out that it's a tri-point route, but you can go from anywhere to anywhere. So we started in the south and we're going up to the northeast, and originally we started in the northwest and drove to the northeast, and then I think what's the next one we were going to do? Is it northwest to south?
No, you asked for another Nottingham exit, so we're doing northeast down.
Oh yeah, we're doing northeast down there, but you could go back up there. So it's quite diverse in terms of operationally what you're able to do. You get full use of the route. It's like 3 journeys essentially.
Yes, it's worth mentioning the 158 does workings between Derby and Nottingham and Nottingham and Leicester. The HST does workings between Leicester and Nottingham and Leicester and Derby, except for there is a 2-part service, which is the odd one out on the timetable, which goes from St Pancras up to Nottingham and then over to Derby. That actually that actually was one of my challenges with AIs and multi-ended trains, Alex, because you have to stop a service and start a service again. The AI is to be able to utilize the correct cab, and I didn't do that initially. And one of my favorite bugs came in from the beta testers was standing at Derby at such and such a time. You see the train reverse at speed into the station with somebody driving from the back.
You gotta love it when you get the fun bugs. And actually, that does bring into something that we haven't touched on much. But again, Tom, for Skyhook developing this route, this is a first in many counts.
That's right.
It's a route of firsts for you. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Sure. So this is our third major route, but it's our first UK route. It's our first passenger route. It's our first route where we've built a train from truly the ground up. We've always based our locos heavily on your locos before. So the AC 4400 in King Creek was based on the loco of the same name. The ES 44 was a revamped AC 4400 because that's what it is in real life. I'm sure the train nuts who love their American trains are yelling at me that it's not right now, but it sort of is. So the 158 is completely built up from the base and using all your latest and greatest techniques, and I'm really proud of how it's turned out.
And at least
thank you
over
to your
60
engineering team
gigabyte.
again. They're cracking it.
Yeah, and obviously the 158 was built with love, with over 60 gigabytes of reference photos.
No, that was the Class 43. We didn't actually get to visit a 158 as a event, but I've ridden it a few times on the way to Liverpool and sent pictures to my artist who's like, can you take me a picture of the gangway between the two carriages? And I'm like, yep.
You're just getting out of your seat, walking around like, all right, here we go. What do we need?
Yeah, like it's funny. Like they stop at Liverpool Line. That's worth mentioning. Actually, they stop at Liverpool Lime Street and they go from Liverpool Lime Street to Norwich. And the eagle-eyed may note that we're only running 2-car, 1-unit trains on this route, because that's what happens on that timetable in the time frame of 2019 when it's based. The 4-car trains go to and from Nottingham to Liverpool Lime Street, so there should be joining services at Nottingham. There aren't yet. This is my fault because I am just not the timetable wizard that you've got over there at DTG. I'm hoping maybe one day I'll get it in and they'll be stabling at East Croft, and you'll bring the train out and then the other train will come and join, and then they'll drive off again off Lenton Triangle. But right now that doesn't exist.
And there are no plans.
You can play with the 4-car versions in the scenario planner, I believe.
Yeah, just to be clear, no plans at this point in time. Not a promise.
No plans. No plans. It was hard. I couldn't do it at that time. So I dropped that in favour of making sure the rest of the timetable worked right.
Yeah, and I think that's important. That's an important thing to focus on, right? This is a route of first for you, and just keep in mind the achievement the Skyhook Games has made with this route, with the help of DTG and everyone, really. There's so much you've given. I mean, we're even looking at something fantastic here with this, the massive cooling towers here and the power station. There's so much to this route in terms of scenery, in terms of the timetable with the passengers as well.
Are you hanging off the back end of the platform there, mate?
Shh, don't point it out. They didn't notice.
All I noticed was you stopped at where my original stopping point was in East Midlands Parkway before one of the beta testers pointed out that was happening. So. These stations do look really nice.
The chat, we noticed.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Sorry, like when you're developing a route, you
from
get in your lane and you work hard. My life has been largely spent in front of the timetable grid and in front of the command line where I was building my timetables and making sure they actually simulated correctly. So honestly, this is probably the longest I've sat and watched the route being played since development started. Like, it's genuinely a joy to watch for myself as well, because While I keep seeing individual bits in isolation, I've not sat and really experienced the route like everyone else is tonight as well, to be honest. So I'm really enjoying it, all right?
And there we have it. We have the station, the power station we're passing by right now. The one we saw in the 10 and 10 features.
And also we're approaching Red Hill Tunnels, which is it's really weird. It's like this castle piece just embedded into the hill. It's really, really unique and unusual. Like British tunnels are really like ornamental. It's kind of surprising.
We are approaching now. Got the little almost castle struts on top.
Yeah, the
Lovely
crenellations.
Yeah.
Thank you to my university computer science lecturer, who's also a history nut, for teaching me all about castles. If you could get a castle into a lecture, he did.
We got a question about, are there collectibles across the route?
Yes, there's I think 4 different kinds of collectibles. There are route maps to put up. There are benches to paint. There are litter bins to pick up. And Matt, do you remember what the fourth one is?
Ticket machines.
Ticket machines. You have to enable the ticket machines because some of them are out of order.
Ticket machines, benches to paint, posters. Sounds like a lot of fun. Yay, ticket machines. I love them. How much is it, Simon? This route is £29.99 Great British pounds, $39.99 US dollars, 35.99 euros. But if you're on Steam platforms, you get a nice pre-order discount of 10%. So you can pre-order from today, and it will release on April 18th.
Underneath Tottenham High Level there. Towards Attenborough. There was actually a station at the Trent Triangle. There was like a big loop as well that went round. So I ended up looking at some heritage maps of the area, just in a sort of almost Wikipedia-like days, as you walk through various websites that look like they're from the GeoCities era.
Yeah.
People have lovingly crafted with all this sort of weird information about the railways from times gone by. I found myself looking at old maps and all sorts that I was building through. And then I'd be like, no, I've got a timetable to go.
What happened to the station that was originally at the Tri Point?
It got removed. It just wasn't utilised anymore. I'm sure somebody's got the better story and the more detailed story about that. That's what I knew. That's what I remember right now.
Oh, weird question. Is Tramsim a DTG game? No, Tramsim is a game that we are publishing from Dovetail. But no, it's developed by View App. But we're here to talk about Midland Main Line. For anyone joining us, we are on the HST, the Class 43, which has a new cab, a different passenger interior, and new sounds from the V185 engine, and of course the iconic East Midlands train livery. We're currently riding along that on our way to Nottingham Station, where we are finishing off with the HST, and we're moving on shortly after back to the Class 158 Sprinter, which is a 2-car DMU. And we're going to be showcasing it off at night time. If you want to see it in a stunning midday sunshine, then you can actually rewind the stream a little bit and catch us a little bit earlier, where we showcased a Derby to Nottingham run.
Well, W, yes, and there is railhead treatment train, and there is ROG as well, with both packs. Yeah.
And just to prove there is a YouTube channel for everything. The level crossings along this segment of the route I timed appropriately thanks to videos from YouTube where somebody went to a level crossing and literally filmed it closing, a train passing, and it opening.
The internet's
There really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, there really
Yeah,
is something for everything.
I opened those videos, I watched them. I am one of the 10,000 views of one of them. Oh, wow. But yeah, I went and I watched those videos and I timed the level crossings to them. I hear there are standardized timings, but whatever they did on the day, that's what I timed it to. So.
I'm interested. What is the rug pull? The white 375, the green 377, and the red 387. Depending on if you've got the appropriate DLC, of course.
Can you do the horn, please? Another horn call.
Horn?
Rune, I'm glad you joined us tonight, and thank you everyone for watching. Again, we've got the lovely company of Tom from Skyhook Games here today, and Tom, they've just been thanking you for showcasing it, and to you, Matt, as well. But don't leave us yet. We still have another service to showcase, again on the 158, and for all of you that enjoyed our nice sound up moment with the Class 43 HST, we're going to be doing that with the 158 again as it pulls out of the station. So get some lovely highlight on the fantastic new sounds. Will you be showing us scenario gameplay tonight? Not tonight. We're going to be showing another service. We won't be showing any of the scenario gameplay, but that is for you to discover on your own if you want to try the route out.
Let me turn the tables on you, Alex. What's your favourite train?
I'm still sticking to my roots here, and I say my favorite train is currently the SD40 -S, I believe, maybe on Compass. I started in that loco when I was learning the game, and I've done a couple routes of it already. I've done a modeling stream where I've tried to recreate it within about an hour, and it went about as chaotic as you'd expect. And that was really what kind of like cemented that connection I had to a loco the most. But I'm still trying out different locos. Like whenever we do previews, whenever we do streams, I give each one a go. I really liked doing the Aisler run because when I was beeping a horn, the bell kept going on and off, and I didn't really understand how to turn that off at first. So I just had this bell ringing the entire journey.
It sounds familiar.
Totally a normal procedure. But yeah, I've had fun
community
moments.
manager.
I relate to the locos more with moments and experiences, so I've had a lot of fun. Sounds like a noisy journey. Yeah, well, thankfully I found the bell off switch eventually. Does the route have sparks on the track? I'm going to go ahead and answer this and say no, because it's a diesel line. Am I correct, Tom?
Sparks? Do they mean like when you just hit emergency brakes?
Yes, but
if you
then
wheel
I don't
spin
believe
or
we have
anything
them on
like that, you'll
emergency
get
brakes.
sparks, yes. That's
Oh, it
standard.
does.
That's a standard feature of every train on every route.
Oh, lovely. Well, then it will.
Did you have another vigilance thing there?
No. Just testing the safety systems. I just want to make sure
we
they
just
haven't
have a little bit of a
broken.
stop about 0.6 miles away.
Yeah,
I was wondering if it was the same issue one of the testers has the other day, thinking that there was something broken when they just tripped TPWS on the C line.
Yeah.
But I noticed that you were in front of the TPWS thing, so I wondered if it was. Yeah. Look, I'm just glad that it's not me spadding and throwing the train through red lights.
Well, there's no spadding.
There was on my stream.
For a change. Got to wait for the brake pipe to recharge. Yeah, I'm just leading you into the night lighting scene. Good shout, Red Leader. Let's go with that.
A question is saying, does it have all the TSW3 features? Of course it does. So snow, rush hour passengers, wet platforms.
I just want to correct you on that one, Alex. It doesn't.
Very shortly.
I'm just going to correct you on that one, Alex. It does not have the deep snow.
Oh, it does not have the deep snow.
No.
There you go.
It does have the other bits though. I know that that's something Skyhook are looking at. One of the problems is the deep snow has to be done right from the very beginning, and this route started before TSW 3 had that feature in its development cycle. So it's something one of the things they're going to look at retrofitting later on. It's not a quick job to retrofit onto a route.
Yeah,
we learned a lot working with Rivet to retrofit it onto Edinburgh, so we're going to do the same thing for see what the job is here. Our brakes are off. Excellent. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no. I was just iterating on what you were saying already. It's adapting to the new weather systems was one of our challenge points on this route. It was worth it. But yeah, it certainly had its own learning curve there.
It shows you how much time goes into really developing these routes as well. I mean, if this was in development during like the key development of Train World 3, then that's quite a lot of time and quite a lot of love to pour into building this route.
Routes take a long
sure
time.
Is.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Okay, so Matt decided to have a little bit of a coffee break there on the track, but we are slowly pulling into Nottingham Station at platform number 7, where our journey with the HST will end, I believe.
Correct.
And then we'll be back on the 158 Sprinter for our final service of the night. We hope you've enjoyed so far. And we're greeted by this lovely entrance to Nottingham Station here with the clock tower above. Another call for the horn. One last time before we switch to 158.
Come on, scare those passengers on the side. Yeah, that guy's deaf now.
Yeah, most of the services we've been running tonight they're 30 minutes. They're all around like kind of 20, 27, 29, 30 minute time length.
I think
It
the
really
one that we're
lends
going to
itself
run
to that sort of playtime.
Yeah, a lot of them are 30 minutes. I think the longest ones are the one we're going to finish with. The full thing is, I think, about 50 minutes, isn't it? If we were to run the full one, I think these are the long stopping runs are more like 50 minutes. So there's varying of gameplay, which will sort of fit whatever time you want available, really. Because I think there's ECS runs and so forth as well.
Yeah, exactly. These Class 158 Lincoln to Leicester runs are very much the slowest ones. You stop at every station usually. Some of them drop the odd station. But,
Let me fan, I've never stopped at a station on time in my life, and I don't intend to start now.
I heard that one mad guy went and visited all these stations.
I believe we had the pleasure of meeting that mad fella. And there we have it. That was the end of our run with the Class 43 HST and the East Midlands train livery.
It's so good to have a new HST in the game. Right, let's let the service finish. Get my gold medal. Give me a gold medal. Don't cheat me out of my
I don't know, you had a couple stops there.
Silver.
Only a silver.
Harsh.
Incredible.
I feel judged.
All right, so we are going to be moving on to our final service of the night. We aren't going to be completing this one, but we'll be running it for about 15 or so minutes, just to show you the night lighting and the lovely January light clouds. So we're southbound at Leicester. Is that Lincoln to Leicester? Yes.
Southbound from Nottingham, yeah.
And I want lots. We'll put some snow on as well. You won't be able to see the snow and so forth particularly, but at least you can see. But yeah, you can see this is an example of one of the 50-minute services, stopping service from Nottingham to Leicester, I guess. Okay. Doors open. Night lights on.
One thing which caught me by surprise was the fact that you can't see anything in the cab without the cab light. Because in real life, the drivers know where the controls are and they just use them. But yeah, I need the cab light on. But yeah, the drivers don't have that on while they're running for obvious reasons. Otherwise, their night vision would be ruined by it. So
you'd also get reflections in the cab window. So far from you, just beyond your night vision going, you'd actually just see yourself. And I don't know, and maybe that's not the same for you, but for me at least, that would be just terrible. I don't like that at all.
Terrifying.
I want to remind you as we set off, Matt, that we want a nice volume up segment so we can showcase the sound.
I was just lining the camera up so that I can have a follower on the camera, and I'm going to boost the sounds now, so we all shush so that we can have sounds up high. Of course, it's winter and I can't rev up.
There's a wheel slip protection.
Yeah.
Which I believe is pretty well modified on this thing. WSP, there's automatic sanders. Quite the beast.
I think it's safe to say that the chat was excited about those sounds. They really are one of the most amazing things.
The volume is still up though, so they might not be able to hear you properly. I was going to leave the volume up until I actually got some proper sounds going. I'll let you know when it's down.
Turn the volume down now. Oh yeah, I was gonna
There you go.
I stopped looking at the speedo. I was just enjoying the night lighting. But yeah, the shift changes. The volume just drops out of the whole thing. It's a very noticeable and recognizable moment.
Yeah, it's safe to say that everyone in the chat was loving the sounds. And again, it just shows that the attention for the 158 is incredible.
Notice the way wheel slip protection has kicked the sand on as well.
Oh yeah.
And for everyone watching now, noticing the snow is the old snow, so it doesn't have the TSW3 dynamic layered depth snow, simply because when we were developing the route, it was conflicting with the time of when we were implementing the weather as well. And it's something you have to add from the beginning and implement from the start. So that's why it's something that we might look into, but at the moment there are no plans to implement that.
Did I just notice the two transmission fault lights come on as well in the middle of the controls when that wheel slip occurred?
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah, they do. There we go. That's what the yellow light's on. Times.
Going into Beeston. Yes, I did brake. I have braked rather early on this just purely because it did occur to me I was going quite fast. And I wondered what happens when I put the brakes on. Sure enough, it started sliding. But we seem to have recovered it okay now. And now we're going in too slow and I look very, very silly. Never mind. I'd hate to miss a station. No one would ever let me live it down if I missed a station.
I was doing it in the middle of summer earlier, Matt. I slammed into emergency because I realised I was so close to the station. I think I went 300 yards past. I just decided to give up at that point.
300 yards. Come and tell me when you've gone through the station at 80 and realised, oh, I should probably have stopped there. It's a good job I didn't do that on stream. Oh.
And there's the AWS sunflower.
Yeah, I forgot to turn the AWS on, so that's actually the self-test AWS route. I'll be waiting for it to get kicked off. Although actually we've just got a yellow light coming up, so it won't. See the wheel slip protection adjusting the brake cylinder there to keep get the train to slow down properly, which it's managing. Quite clever system.
Beeston Station's really nice as well. It's one of these much simpler, much older stations. Interesting architecture.
Is there a reason why cab lights aren't on, Colt? You don't drive with cab lights on. You can turn them on, but you don't drive with them on. Well, you shouldn't. But it's up to you. If you want to, you can.
I think a question that's been asked a few times as well is the GSMR. You want to turn that on. I believe it's very similar functionality to what's in the 323.
No, you can't play the nighttime routes in the daytime. Play them at night, where it's dark.
What you mean to tell me your tech team haven't built an Eclipse setting?
The solar eclipse event, 1 in a million chance. Skyhook, you've done an epic job. Well, I would say so too. And you've done an amazing job, Tom, joining us here tonight. Thank you very much for joining us as we're pretty much approaching the end of the preview stream. If you have recently joined us in the last 15-20 minutes or so, feel free to skim back through our stream using the slider control. If you're on Twitch, you can always come over to our YouTube channel where we're streaming as well, and you can scroll back and catch all of the footage of the 158 and the Class 43.
Can I just say...
Oh, sorry, Tom.
I was just going to say, you said thank you for being here. It's an honour. It really is. I honestly feel so privileged to be able to come on and just chat with you guys. and enjoy the route with everybody. It's a truly joy.
No, we're very grateful to have you on the stream, and I think we're pretty much there at the end. We weren't going to run this last service all the way to the final stop because it's about a 50-minute service, I believe. So we were just going to showcase the nighttime lighting, give you one last chance to find the 158 sounds, and we're pretty much gonna probably wrap it up just about there. We're back. Hello. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. That's been the Midland Main Line, Leicester, Derby, and Nottingham preview stream. Now, Tom, do you have any final words to say? Thank you very much for joining us on the stream.
Thank you to the team. Thank you to the beta testers. Thank you to DTG. It's been an honor to work on this. It's been so much fun. And I'm looking forward to watching people play it on Twitch, YouTube, wherever they play it, if they play it for other people. I'm looking forward to just hearing how people enjoy it. I'm looking forward to hearing what things people want improved, changed, what trains they want to come to this route next. I'm just looking forward to seeing how everyone enjoys this route. I'm a joy maker. This is why I make games. Let me see your joy, guys.
And really that I mean that's all of it, right? If you want to send any feedback as well, make sure to use our forums, where we'll be checking. And Tom, I'm sure you'll be active on our forums as well, looking at the feedback to the route. But that will be all from us tonight. The pre-order is available from today, and if you are on Steam platforms, you can get a nice 10% discount as well. The release of this route is on April 18th, and it'll be on Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS4 and 5, Epic Game Store, and of course Steam platforms as well. So if you're looking to pick up Midland Main Line, be sure to check out the local store pages, and from us, that'll be all for the preview. So thank you very much again, Tom, and thank you, Matt, for being our not so silent but absolutely lovely driver while me and Tom have laid back and just had a lovely chat throughout the stream.
Thanks very much. And good night, everyone.
That's it. Good night. We hope you have a lovely night, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.